Hi and welcome to my Christmas gift guide video part 2. Today I'm just going to talk about books. This one's going to be pretty straightforward. I've tried to sort of filter out my recommendations. I'm not mentioning any books that will be in my top 10 of this year. I'm not mentioning any books that have been in previous Christmas guides. So if you want to see those, I'll put links to them in the description. I'm going to start with a group of 3 books which have a lot of things in common, but they're also quite different. They look very similar. First of all, we've got Tinder by Sally Gardner, which is illustrations by David Roberts. This is perfect for people who love fairy tale retellings and love something a little bit darker. The style of this book is quite weird. It feels like it could be a children's book, but you sort of know that it has a darker undertone, so it can definitely be read by adults. Just look at that gorgeous illustration. They're all throughout the book. I can't remember what the original fairy tale story is called, but it is about a tinderbox. It's about a warrior called Otto who has sort of defied death and then ends up going on a quest, and he goes to this creepy castle. It is absolutely lovely and a beautiful book to give as a present. Then to continue the theme of grey but shiny books, here we've got A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I think a lot of you have probably heard about it. It's going to be a film next year. This one also features gorgeous illustrations. It is about a boy who is sort of in denial about something in his life, and then all of a sudden at night a monster comes to visit him and the monster tells him stories. This is quite a sad one. Again, I think will work very well for kids, teens and adults alike. And then finally, in this trilogy of dark books with illustrations, we've got Through the Woods Stories by Emily Carroll, which is, out of these 3, my favorite. It is a freaking beautiful graphic novel which contains 5 different stories. It's quite scary, but it has that Christmassy feel to it. Also great for people who love folk tales and fairy tales, but want something a little bit creepier. This one gets like 6 out of 5 stars. Then for that friend who loves dystopian novels, maybe check out some John Wyndham. Penguin has this beautiful collection of all the John Wyndham novels. They all have really nice illustrations. Really, I would just say pick any. I've read The Day of the Triffids and The Chrysalids. Haven't read any of the other ones yet, but I have no doubt they will all be fantastic. If the person that you're buying a gift for loves John Green, but basically have read anything that he's written, maybe try out The Disreputable History of Frankie Landau-Banks by E. Lockhart. You might know E. Lockhart because of her book We Were Liars. That is also a fantastic book, but entirely different to this one. And this is like a feminist boarding school novel with pranks. It's one of Rosianna's favorite books. It is so much fun to read, but I think especially for teens discusses some quite important topics and give you lots of food for thought. E. Lockhart actually signed this one for me, and on the inside it says, "Don't let anyone underestimate you, XO E. Lockhart," which I think is excellent advice. Then, for lovers of fantasy and graphic novels, there is of course Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. It is a fantastic story of a super evil supervillain who finds a quite rambunctious sidekick in Nimona, who is also a shapeshifter. Gorgeous illustrations, loads and loads of fun. And for the up-and-coming, slightly younger graphic novel fan, you might want to buy Interstellar Cinderella. This is an amazing picture book. It's a retelling of Cinderella with a slightly different ending, and I could not recommend this more. Perfect to give to parents or kids, but I really enjoyed it myself as well. Then this is perfect for lovers of Victorian fiction or Tim Burton or a series of unfortunate events. This is the Monger trilogy, which I've talked about before, but now the final book in the trilogy is out. The first one is Heap House. It's by Edward Carey, who does both the illustrations and the writing. The second one is Falsham, and the third one is London. These are published by the publisher that I used to work for, Hotkey Books. Been a fan of these since the beginning. They're wonderfully dark. They're about this ironmonger family that live outside of London on the rubbish heaps in this huge mansion. It very much has a sort of like upstairs downstairs thing going on with the servants that live below the house. And in this family, every person gets a birth object that they carry around with them their whole life, which is great if it's a bath plug, not so great if it is like a giant mantelpiece. And the main character, Claude Ironmonger, they all sort of have slightly different names. So instead of his name being Claude, it's Claude, and another girl is called Penelope instead of Penelope. Claude can actually hear these birth objects say things. Each birth object says a different name. Things are sort of starting to go awry in the house, objects start disappearing, and that is just the beginning of the adventure. Could not recommend these more. Also, I think they look absolutely perfect as a Christmas gift. Finally, I've got some non-fiction stuff. First of all, if you're not entirely sure what someone's taste is, this might do the trick. It is Nothing Except My Genius, The Wit and Wisdom of Oscar Wilde. This is a lovely little booklet which is just filled with quotes from Oscar Wilde. This one is £7. It is just a lovely little gift, and they also have matching editions of all of Oscar Wilde's works. Then if you want to give someone a lovely object which you can sort of display on the table and leaf through from time to time, then you might want to buy letters of note. Again, I think great for grandparents or parents. It is just filled with letters from history that were all important in one way or another with added information. Here is a letter written on American Airlines paper from Elvis Presley to the US President Richard Nixon. And then finally, perfect for all people that love to travel and also love bookshops, we've got The Bookshop book by Jen Campbell, who is also on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description. And this is a collection talking about all the amazing bookshops in the world. And I want to end this video by reading out the epigraph, which is lovely. Bookshops are time machines, spaceships, story makers, secret keepers, dragon tamers, dream catchers, fact finders, and safe places. This book is for those who know this to be true. Okay, so I hope that was a useful Christmas gift guide. These are all books that I would be over the moon with to receive them as gifts. You can obviously put them on your own wish list or buy them for someone else. If you want to watch my budget under £5 Bookish Christmas gift guide, I'll put a link to that in the description. And there is one more video coming out in a couple of days, which will be a gift guide centering around books, but not actually about books. So keep an eye out for that. If you don't want to miss it, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you guys later. Doei!